One of the things I've discovered is that many people who are creating community, they may call it something else, like a club or an association, they don't recognize that there is a boundary or they're in denial that they have a boundary. And I wrote about this in the book. At one point, I was invited to New York City because there was a group of spiritual leaders that had an association and they invited me to participate and they wanted to grow it. And I was very confused when I was there about who should be in this group, who should be invited, who is it tailored for, and that kind of thing. And when I asked about that, they said, oh, no, anybody can be in this group. I thought, well, that's just obviously not true, right? This is a room of very highly educated, many cases, spiritual leaders, really involved in the national, international scene about spiritual growth. Obviously, not everybody is supposed to be in this group. So I asked, well, I'm curious, was there ever a time that somebody was asked to leave? And they said, oh, yes. And it turns out sometime before there had been somebody in the group that was advocating polyamorous marriages. And that was too radical for this group. And so they were asked to leave. And I asked, well, who asked them to leave? Because what that would tell me is who had the authority to ask someone to leave. And they told me. And I said, well, it sounds like there is a boundary. There is a standard about who can be here. And it sounds like you do have people who will remove somebody if they're not a good fit. And that really gave them pause. And up until that moment, the people who had asked that person to leave had considered themselves not actually a leader, but just a facilitator. But then I revealed, well, actually, you wield some authority and you do have a standard and you step in when that standard needs to be held. And none of that is bad. It was just curious to me that they just wanted to believe that none of that was in place when it had been in place, from what I could tell, for years.